Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock, Drogheda. I'm Nick Park, and last month I came across a news story on the CNN website, and just the way it began, I tell you, it was really well written, but it really struck me emotionally. Let me read to you how it began. Tokyo. The rooms are filled with elderly residents, their hands wrinkled and backs bent. They shuffle slowly down the corridors, some using walkers. Workers help them bathe, eat, walk, and take their medication. But this isn't a nursing home. It's Japan's largest women's prison. The population here reflects the aging society outside and the pervasive problem of loneliness that guards say is so acute for some elderly prisoners that they prefer to stay incarcerated. There are even people, this is a quote from a guard, there are even people who say they will pay 20,000 or 30,000 yen, that's 130 to 190 US dollars a month, if they can live here forever, said Takeyoshi Shiranaga, an officer at Tohige Women's Prison, located north of Tokyo, during an extremely rare visit granted to CNN in September. Now, the reasons why these old people are wanting to stay in prison is because Japan is an aging society, is struggling to care for its elderly population, because so many more old people, the birth rate's fallen catastrophically, not having many children, and so there's less and less young people working to be able to support those who are no longer able to work because of age. And it's as well, Japan has always had very strict immigration laws and a society that makes it very difficult for people from other countries to immigrate and integrate. And so really they need a lot of immigrants to come in and work in order to create the tax base and generate the taxes necessary to care for the aging population. But it just seems so hard for the nation to be able to manage that. So you've got now You've got a lot of elderly people in Japan and a lot of elderly female convicts. Over 80% of those female elderly convicts are in prison for theft, and often it's stealing food because they literally are hungry and cannot afford to buy food. Apparently 20% of over 65s in Japan live in poverty. That's according to the OECD. And also, for elderly people, they have to pay for their medical treatment in general society, but if they get sent to prison, they get medical treatment for free. And so we have this bizarre situation where elderly women are committing petty crimes, sometimes because they just need to steal to feed themselves, but sometimes they're committing the crimes to deliberately get sent to prison because they feel they are better off in prison than living free on the outside in poverty. Now, I find that truly shocking that is going on in an industrialized and we would say a fairly wealthy nation in the world. However, what really struck me is this, that here are people who would prefer to be imprisoned and lose their freedom in order to have a better standard of living than they can have with their freedom. You know, that's not a new thing. The Israelites, for example, when they got their freedom and they were in the wilderness and then they got fed up with eating the manna, they said, we wish we were back in Egypt where we had all the leeks and the garlic and the cucumbers and all this other kind of food that we used to enjoy then. They would prefer to they wanted to lose their freedom and return to slavery in order to be able to eat better. You know, today there are many people who choose to be imprisoned. They could have freedom. They could have freedom in Jesus Christ, but they're afraid that they're going to miss out on so much that they enjoy if they give up their slavery, if they stop being imprisoned in their sin, and if they come to Jesus Christ. And sometimes the reason why people feel that way is because we in the church have done an inadequate job of sharing with them just what amazing joy there is. That becoming a Christian doesn't mean you give up the things that you enjoy. you might have to give them up. But what it means is you find greater things to enjoy. I know as a Christian, I have joys now that I never had when I was in my prison of sin. And we as Christians, we need to live our lives in such a way that we are able to show people around us that we have a life that is a life, not just a life eternal, but is a life more abundant as well, in Jesus' name. May God help us to do that and be better witnesses for Jesus Christ. God bless you today. Join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.